The good news is it is road trip time again. The difference, however, this time is we are traveling in the Model 3, as you can kind of see in here. So this is the first time we will have taken a road trip in a Model 3 of any kind. Of course, ours is a standard range, and our car was the first round of LFP standard range plus Model 3s that you could get. You had to order it a little bit special to be able to get this car, and it came with 253 miles instead of, I think it was 262. So you lost like 9 miles of range, but LFP can be charged to 100% without causing any premature degradation of the battery. So it had some benefits to keep in mind. And of course, now all standard ranges come with LFP batteries. So it shouldn't be a surprise we were headed down to Florida. As you know, we are moving, and we were just there like a week and a half ago. So I got to make it back down there. This is going to be a one-way trip though, because the plan is to drive down there, get some more things done down there, leave this car down there with my wife because she's down there working right now. So the boys and I will be flying back on Tuesday morning. So we're going to leave the car down there. This will be an interesting road trip, and I'm going to show you some things because this car, it takes about an hour longer to get there, and it's because we can't go as far per charge, and we have to charge longer in the battery. So let's take a look at what it looks like in this car, and then I'll take you over to our Model Y and show you what it looks like in that car just for comparison purposes. But real quick, before we dive into too many details, I do want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Drive Protected Shop. As you know, we have wrapped our Model Y completely in PPF, and we're about to wrap the rest of our Model 3 to have complete coverage. One of the things about Teslas that you want to think about is how much painted surface is exposed to the roads. By having that car protected, you can prevent a lot of damage that can happen to the front of your car. And thanks to Drive Protected Shop, if you use code BTG, you'll save 20%. So for quite a bit of savings, you can either wrap just the full front of the car or the entire car like we are doing. So thanks again to Drive Protected Shop for sponsoring this video. As you can see, we are at 100%. It's just kind of topping off. We're not going to leave for another 30 to 45 minutes probably, maybe even an hour. But if you look at this whole trip, there are a lot of charging stops that we have to make because we are in a standard range Model 3. Also, we are going to force it to go through Nashville, even if there is traffic. We are not going to go this route. I really don't like it. And of course, our oldest child does get motion sick, and this route is just too much for him. So counting this down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 supercharging stops, and if we left right now, it says we would get there at 11:39 in the morning. So let's jump over really quick now to the Model Y and see what the difference is. So 11:39 a.m. if we left right now. All right, so over here in our Model Y, which is only at 82%, you're going to be able to see how this is different. Let's go ahead and get a bigger view here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So one less charging stop, but these are longer legs in between, which means, there it goes, finish calculating, we would arrive at 10:21. So more than an hour difference between the standard range Model 3 and our long range Model Y. Now, in the past, I have advised you all to get as much range as you can afford, and it's not about spending more money. But if you're going to be doing road trips or anything like that, you're going to want to have as much range as you can, because when you go on a trip like this, saving an hour doing the same exact trip, that's a big deal. And it's going to be even better because in cases like this, you could probably skip a charger if I was charging this car at 100%. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind when doing this. You can also start to see it is raining, and it is supposed to rain the entire way down. So obviously not looking forward to the rain because it does have an impact on efficiency. I do know we're going to be making it to somewhere in Tennessee tonight. We're going to stay the night, and then we'll finish the trip in the morning. So hopefully tomorrow we don't have to deal with the rain, and hopefully a little bit warmer. It's only 59 degrees. It is a little bit warmer than it was this morning, but it's not very warm right now, and this rain is just a big drag. Unfortunately, the rain is supposed to be here all day while we're driving all the way down to and through Tennessee. So there's not much I can do about it, but tomorrow, hopefully, we will be without the rain, and we can really see what the efficiency of the rear-wheel drive standard range Model 3 is. Kind of compare that to how we travel in the Model Y. Now the Model Y has way more space and it's, in my opinion, more comfortable, but we're going to find out once and for all, 1,000 miles down to Florida, and figure this out. So I'm going to pick this back up in about 30 minutes to an hour, and we're going to hit the road and try to make it past Nashville tonight. So we will see how we do. I hope that you enjoy coming along for the ride. All right, so we're all packed up 100%, 5:14 p.m. Not quite the time I wanted, but that's okay. We'll be in Louisville at about 8 o'clock. We have 2.5 hours, 151 miles to go. And then when we get down that way, we will divert over to Nashville and back over to Georgia. So we will mix that up right up here once we get there, but gonna go ahead and get rolling. Should arrive at 17% in Louisville. All right, so we arrived here in Louisville at the Meijer parking lot. I did try to get some dinner, unfortunately, at Burger King, but I'm just hungry for warm food, and it's closed due to staffing, but that's probably a good thing because it's not the best. Anyway, supposed to be here for 30 minutes, and then we will hit up. It looks like it reset everything again. I just had it fixed too. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get plugged in. It is V3, which means we shouldn't have split charging, but it doesn't matter because nobody is on the road right now except for them. Cool, hi. So let's get plugged in and see what this standard range will do. So that last leg was 153 miles, 38 kilowatt hours consumed, 247 watt hour per mile. So as you know, with long range, we would be getting 250 kilowatt charge rate. So this thing's supposed to be capped at 170. We are at 24%, so it might not hit all the way up there yet, but let's see how high it will go on this charge. So about 155 is what it topped out at. Again, at 25%, we weren't gonna see the full 170 anyway, so that's not terrible. So we're supposed to be here, again, it says 35, okay, and it just reset again, of course. So 35 minutes, and then we will hit Nashville and then Kimball, Tennessee. So we're gonna let this charge up and get some food, stretch our legs, because it is 8 p.m. and this is the last chance the boys will get to really get outside. So I think with that, we're gonna go outside and run amok. What do you think?
Yes, yes.
All right. So unfortunately, we didn't leave quite as early as I had planned, but it's my fault. I don't know what I was thinking. I still had too many things to wrap up for work before I hit the road. So leaving a little bit after 5 kind of hurt us because I wanted to make it to Kimball tonight, and we still may. We'll just be there a lot later than I had planned on. Now we will hit Central Time Zone here very shortly, which will save us an hour, but we should be there like 1 a.m. Eastern, which would be midnight Central Time. So we'll see how this ends up working out. But for now, we're getting all our energy out so that we can make it till 1 o'clock in the morning. So hopefully this charging goes smooth. All right, we're finishing up charging. We're at 96%. Should arrive in Nashville at 10%. And this is the Achilles heel of the standard range. We have to charge very deep to make it to next chargers. So hopefully there's more chargers along the way. We can split these up because in Kimball, it wants us charged for 50 minutes, which we're not gonna do, but that'll be in the morning anyway. So gonna go ahead and unplug now. 96%, we have 170 miles to go, about 2 hours and 20 minutes. Should be there about 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. So we're here in Nashville. I'm trying to be quiet because we got things are moving in the right direction right now. So We're here in Nashville. It is 9:50 p.m. local, so 10:50 Eastern. We're supposed to be here for 25 minutes to make it to Kimball, and we are going to try to do that. It is getting a little bit late, but still feeling good, and I have plenty of energy. For that last leg, it was 170 miles, 42 kilowatt hours consumed, 246 watt hour per mile. So very consistent with that first leg. So anyways, again, supposed to be here for 25 minutes. I am going to go ahead and get plugged in. This is a V3, and we are low enough that I should be able to see if we can get at least that 170 that the standard range is capped at. So let's plug it in and find out. And just FYI, while this is ramping up, so there's a grocery store there, and they have like one of those grocery store gas stations so you can get drinks and stuff. But when you do come in here, just be careful. I've never been bugged, but there are homeless people that live right back here. So just be aware of that from a safety perspective if you leave anybody in the car. So there's 167. Looks like. So 167 was going to be our peak. So that's pretty close to 170. So we'll let this sit here and charge. I'm going to go stretch my legs, maybe go get a drink, and yeah, we'll wrap this up. Well, we are charged up enough, 71%. I lost a little bit of time because apparently everything is closed. So I was walking from store to store. Anyways, should get to Kimball at 27%, which is way more than enough. So I am going to unplug and unfortunately will not be having a bio break or a beverage, so I'm going to try to make it to Chattanooga, I believe. So it's only 99 miles, an hour and a half to go. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the road. Should arrive there at 28%. Alright, so it's raining again. It's off and on, and it was pretty heavy back there, but we did arrive at 21%. 11:33, made decent timing despite the rain. We did have to drive a little bit slower. We only had to be here for 10 minutes, and I did add the hotel to our stop, which is not very far. It's 29 miles from here, so we only need to be here for 10 minutes, and the hotel does have a charger, so as long as one of those is open, we will be in good shape. So I'm going to go ahead and get plugged in, and we will have enough charge to make it to the next charger if the one at the hotel is not available. So hopefully not, because the Chattanooga charger is not a good charger. So let's hope this all works out according to plan. All right, so we just finished charging, and it says we will arrive at 27% and then have enough to get 23% at the Chattanooga charger. Again, fingers crossed that one of the chargers at the hotel is available, and we will be all set. So gonna unplug now, 42%. Should be about 30 minutes to get there, so right after midnight local time. All right, so we arrived at 28%. It is just after 12 o'clock. So that last leg was 29 miles, 8 kilowatt hours, 266 watt hour per mile. So far for the trip, 452 miles, 113 kilowatt hours, 250 watt hour per mile. Now we would have to stop in the Chattanooga charger, which is not a good one. I know they're building a better one, but anyways, we are at the hotel, and the best news yet, as you cannot see, there you go. We did make it, and there is a charger. There's another Tesla hooked up, but there's also two more on the other side. Those are the J1772s over there, but Tesla wall connector here. So the great news is we can charge to 100% tonight, which means we'll be able to skip a charger, which will save us a pretty considerable amount of time, you know, roughly 30 minutes at least in time savings for tomorrow's trip to finish this thing off. So now that we're plugged in, gonna get checked in. The kids are asleep, so fingers crossed they stay asleep all the way till I get them in the bed. So we'll pick this back up first thing in the morning. All right, so we're getting moving. It is about 7 o'clock local, 8 o'clock Eastern, and we got to 98% overnight, which is pretty awesome. So we get to skip a charger up here. We actually get to go, I believe this is Marietta, right? McDonough, okay. McDonough, Georgia, then Cordell, Valdosta, Ocala. So 4 chargers instead of 5, which is better. So we have this first stop in 2 hours, 147 miles, and it should be a pretty easy drive today. Should be in Tampa at the airport around 5:15 or so. So we will see how we do. But this hotel continues to be clutch. Now do know that the 4 chargers they have 2 Tesla chargers, which is great. But when both of them are charging, you only get 20 amps. And since we are a standard range, we're limited to 32. So when he got full, I only got 32. But still pretty awesome to get a charge while you sleep. So we're unplugged now. Should be in McDonough at about 9 o'clock. But we do have to go through Atlanta. And traffic is 24/7 there. So probably an optimistic look at 9:12. Gonna get going now. All right, so we arrived at 26%. Supposed to be here for 30 minutes before heading to Cordell, Georgia. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in. That last leg was 148 miles, 36 kilowatt hours, and 244 watt hour per mile. Wasn't too bad in Georgia this time going through Atlanta. Probably the best one that we've had so far, but that is certainly helpful and appreciated. Another V3 charger, this one again, brand new. Whole bunch of stuff over here. There's like a mall, some food options, plenty on the way in. Good spot. So we'll let this charge up. All right, so we have enough charge to continue. Should arrive in Cordell with 30% overcharged a bit, but that's okay. 113 miles an hour and 37 minutes. Gonna go ahead and unplug now. Should arrive at 31%. All right, so we were able to skip a charger, but unfortunately it's not gonna pay off because it is full and there's a line. This is only the 3rd time this has ever happened to me. So on the eastern half of the country, this does not happen as often as it does for you folks out in California. But we are here at Tifton. We're supposed to be here for 25 minutes and we are gonna get some lunch. There's a few dining options, a Starbucks right there. And I think there's like a Wendy's or something. Not the best options, but there is a barbecue place coming soon. So supposed to be here for 25 minutes and then to Jasper, Florida, which I've never been to. So I don't know if that is a newer charger or not. But let's see here. It is V3. Oh no, that's Valdosta, of course. Yeah, it is V3, so that's good. It might be newer. Anyways, so 2 more stops after this. And then we should be able to be in Tampa to pick up my wife. So as soon as we can get plugged in, we'll get rolling. And it is a V2, so we will be splitting charging, meaning we will be here for a hot minute. So we ended up getting caught in the rain. We are charged at 90%, so way more than enough. We'll probably be able to skip Jasper. I'll mess with this when we're on the road. But if we do, it's an hour away, an hour and 15 minutes away, 84 miles to go there. and should arrive at like 46%. So I will figure this out once we get on the road. Alright, so we finally made it after all that traffic. Unfortunately, there was an accident, so it took us a while to get here, but we were at Gainesville, so I skipped one charger and got us all the way to Gainesville. This could be our last stop, but it's full, and it's a V2, so we're not going to do that. We're going to go to Land O'Lakes as our last stop, and that one is a V3. So I'm going to go ahead and get plugged in and probably take a walk right over there. That last leg was 154 miles, 41 kilowatt hours, 268 watt hour per mile. Gonna go ahead and get plugged in now. All right, so we finished charging up at 71%, should arrive in Land O'Lakes at 13%. An hour and a half to go, 110 miles. So gonna go ahead and unplug now. All right, so we arrived, last charging stop. I am gonna charge it up quite a bit. We're at 14%. That last leg was 111 miles, 29 kilowatt hours, 260 watt hour per mile. So the plan is I am very close actually to our destination. So we don't have very far to go to finish this off to meet my wife, and then that'll be that. So I am going to charge it up as much as we can stand. It is at a Wawa, and I finally had their sandwiches, and it turns out they're actually really good. You kept wondering why I didn't try it. Now I'm wondering why I never tried it. So we're going to charge this baby up and get some food. All right, so we're charged up to 98%, which is plenty of charge, but we were eating anyways. It's only 20 miles to the Airbnb, so we'll be there shortly. I'm going to pick this up there, and we will wrap up the trip. All right, so the great news is we have arrived. It didn't take too long to get here from that charger, but man, I am completely wiped, and I only have to make this trip two more times to get the other vehicles down here. So let's take a look at how this trip ended. All right, so this whole trip was 1,035 miles, 263 kilowatt hours consumed, and 254 watt hour per mile. Now, thinking about that, obviously the Model 3 is super efficient, and this being a standard range, it only has one motor, and it's lighter because the battery's smaller, so it's as efficient as you can get from Tesla. So this car getting 254 watt hour per mile, I think is pretty decent. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of trips in this to know, hey, did we do good? Did we do bad? There were some areas where we had close to 270, in other areas where we were down in the 220s, 30s, something like that. So there were some stretches that were super efficient, I could tell. And to be honest, what's interesting about that, because it's so efficient, you can almost go as far as our Model Y long range on a full charge. So when you're doing 80 miles an hour, keep in mind that rated range is not anywhere close to what you're going to get at 80 miles an hour. So I think we did pretty good. I will say this though, it did require more charging, and the charging stops did last longer. And that was one thing that was very clear. But that said, after driving 1,000 miles on this road trip, there are some things that stand out about this car that I think are pretty good things. So number one, this car is quieter than our Model Y, and it should be no surprise for a couple of reasons. Number one, it sits lower, it's blowing through less wind, so it should be quieter. Number two, it has these smaller aero wheels and bigger sidewalls, which leads into another point here in a second, but these tires are quieter than the tires that are on my Model Y, which of course are the bigger 20-inch induction wheels with those tires. The other thing that is very clear about this car is it is a lot smoother on the road. Now, I don't know if it is because of these wheels and tires. That's definitely going to have an impact. Having a bigger sidewall is going to give you more cushion on bumps, but it was significantly better in this car. So in my opinion, it is more than just the tires. So the suspension on this car is set up really well, and it makes for a very smooth ride. As a matter of fact, one of the things I've complained about in my Model Y is that it's very bumpy. You can feel the bumps. It's not like jarring, but it's not a luxurious feeling. If you were to get into this car and drive this, you wouldn't notice the suspension. You wouldn't say it was like super plush, but you wouldn't notice a harsh ride. As compared to the Model Y, a lot of people notice it, and it's because it is a harsh ride. Now again, this does have the smaller aero wheels, which are going to add to comfort on it, but it's something that stood out very clearly is this is a smoother riding car. Now, on the flip side, it is a lot tighter in here, and you cannot fit as many people, you cannot fit as much stuff. Even the front, you cannot fit like a carry-on suitcase like you can in the Model Y, and I would take the Model Y over the Model 3 any day of the week if all things were equal. But this car has been a really great addition to the family, and we usually only use it for around town. But of course, since we're moving, I had to get it down here. So I was excited to see what it's like to road trip in this car because of it being a standard range. It's only rated at 253 miles range. Now, the existing ones have 272 miles of range, and if the efficiency is anything comparable to what this one gets, I would gather to assume that it's probably going to be able to do as many miles at 80 miles an hour as my Model Y. Now, I need to do further testing to prove that for sure, but I think that this car is not as much of a sacrifice as you would think when it comes to range. So that was definitely eye-opening. But with all that said, I did stop more for charging. It was obvious, and I had to charge longer because one of the things about the long range version of whether it's the 3 or the Y, if you have a long stretch, you don't have to charge 90% of the battery. Whereas this car, if you have a long stretch, you've got to charge to 90%, which can take a lot longer than doing the shorter up to 70% charges. So with all that said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. There will not be a part 2, obviously, because the car is staying here with my wife as we continue to pack our house and get our move underway here in just a couple of weeks. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, give it the thumbs up. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram @BeardedTesla. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.